The story of Tyler Robinson and the alleged connection to Charlie Kirk continues to grip social media, news outlets, and public discourse across the country. Every day, new claims emerge. Every day, the lines between verified fact, rumor, and interpretation blur further. What started as isolated online speculation has now become a widespread narrative, raising questions about truth, accountability, and the power of perception in the digital age. Tyler Robinson, a relatively unknown name until recently, is suddenly the focus of a viral story. Online posts speculate about his role, his connections, and his personal history. Headlines repeatedly refer to him as connected to the shooting of Charlie Kirk. But the truth remains elusive. The reports are fragmented, contradictory, and at times intentionally vague. Some posts highlight digital communications that may indicate involvement. Others point to his absence from certain locations at key times. And still others question the credibility of the sources themselves. What triggered this sudden attention? Was it a single viral post, a leaked message, or the timing of media coverage coinciding with a politically sensitive moment? Early speculation online focused on Tyler's whereabouts, his online activity, and his relationships in the days leading up to the incident. Within hours, the discussion escalated into an intense digital courtroom where millions debated guilt, motive, and opportunity before any official statement was fully released. And then there are the parents. Tyler's family has remained mostly private, but smaller interviews have painted a picture of deep concern and confusion. They insist that their son has been misrepresented online and that the constant media coverage has intensified an already stressful situation. "We can't understand why this became so public so quickly," one family friend said. The family's reaction raises further questions. Were authorities transparent with them? Did they receive full access to evidence? Or were they caught off guard by the speed at which the story went viral? Close contacts, including roommates, friends, and Tyler's girlfriend, have also become focal points of discussion. Why have some of them remained silent? Are they withholding information or simply avoiding the media storm? Social media users speculate endlessly. Did they see something crucial? Did they know about communications or movements that could clarify the timeline? Or are they simply collateral figures in a story that is no longer just about Tyler Robinson? Every unanswered question surrounding them fuels more online debate. The handprint purportedly found at the scene has become a central point in discussions. Some social media users argue it conclusively links Tyler to the incident. Others say the circumstances of its discovery raise questions about reliability. Why did it appear only after multiple searches? Who had access to it before it was referenced publicly? And most importantly, how can the public interpret its significance without official verification? Digital evidence has also dominated discussion. Posts analyzing Tyler's digital social media activity, messaging apps, and phone location data circulate widely. Some suggest his devices were accessed, or that logs may have been misinterpreted. Others wonder whether the timing of certain messages was manipulated to fit an emerging narrative. This uncertainty has created a feedback loop. Speculation feeds discussion, discussion amplifies speculation, and fact-checking struggles to keep pace. Charlie Kirk's name adds another layer of complexity. As a public figure, his involvement in any story naturally draws attention, and it also shapes the way online narratives form. Analysts and online commentators ask, why is this particular connection attracting such intense scrutiny? How does the prominence of the figure influence perception of Tyler Robinson? And how does that influence the public's willingness to accept claims without independent verification? The combination of Tyler Robinson's relative anonymity and Charlie Kirk's prominence has created a perfect storm for viral speculation. What about the timeline of events? Online analysts dissect every reported movement. Tyler's digital footprint, including timestamps of messages and location data, is repeatedly referenced. Early reports suggest gaps in the timeline that social media users interpret in conflicting ways. Some say these gaps indicate opportunity or intentional misrepresentation. Others argue they are simply the result of normal human error or technical inconsistencies. Each new interpretation spurs further debate, but few conclusions are reached. Questions about the parents' awareness persist. Did they know of any interactions, communications, or situations that could clarify Tyler's role? Some posts suggest they were unaware of certain developments, while others imply they may have insights that have not been made public. Their silence or selective commentary continues to drive speculation, raising ethical questions about privacy, media pressure, and the role of family members in high-profile cases. The roommate, too, has become an object of scrutiny. Why has this individual not spoken publicly? Some speculate they may hold critical information. Others argue that their silence is a reasonable response to a stressful situation. The ambiguity, however, creates space for rumors to flourish. Similarly, Tyler's girlfriend has not commented publicly, prompting questions about her knowledge, perspective, and motivations. Social media users dissect every post, image, and message, attempting to reconstruct events that authorities have not fully disclosed. Online, a recurring theme is the interplay between speculation and narrative shaping. Threads examine whether Tyler Robinson was targeted intentionally, whether his digital communications were interpreted accurately, or whether he became a convenient focal point for public attention. Many users question why certain details are emphasized while others are omitted. Is this selective reporting the result of error, bias, or influence? And how much of the emerging story is controlled by those who understand how digital narratives can manipulate perception? The alleged connection to Charlie Kirk has amplified these questions. Some suggest that Tyler Robinson's association, whether direct or indirect, has made the story politically sensitive. Others focus on how the public perceives risk, responsibility, and influence. The presence of a high-profile figure ensures coverage will remain intense and ongoing. Yet the actual facts of the case remain murky. Online discourse continues to question why the story exploded at this specific moment, why certain reports appear and disappear, and why key sources have not been fully made public. Unverified claims continue to surface. Anonymous posts, leaked screenshots, and speculation about digital communications dominate discussion forums. Some of these claims are quickly debunked. Others remain, creating a constant stream of conflicting information. This dynamic forces viewers to question what is credible, what is possible, and what may be designed purely to shape perception. The question of responsibility also arises. Who has the duty to clarify information for the public? Authorities, media outlets, or independent analysts? How much should online users rely on speculation versus verified reporting? And in a story that blends viral social media, high-profile individuals, and limited official disclosure, what is the ethical way to follow the unfolding events? Tyler Robinson's case exemplifies the challenges of digital age storytelling. Each new post, headline, and social media thread influence perception. Every claim, verified or not, adds to the public's understanding or misunderstanding. And the involvement of a well-known figure like Charlie Kirk ensures that public attention will remain high, scrutiny intense, and debate ongoing. The story continues to evolve. Every day brings new polls, new leaks, and new interpretations. Social media users dissect timelines, question evidence, and speculate about motivations. And while official sources remain largely silent, the online community has become a self-organizing investigative network, attempting to reconstruct events from fragmented information. Viewers are left with persistent questions. What is verified and what is speculation? How much influence does public attention have on the narrative? What role do family, friends, and associates play in shaping perception? And ultimately, how can the public discern truth in a story where the lines between rumor, media framing, and factual reporting are constantly blurred? As this digital investigation continues, Tyler Robinson remains a focal point, and Charlie Kirk's public prominence ensures ongoing interest. Each new piece of information, whether a post, a screenshot, or a timeline analysis, adds to a story that is still unfolding. And while no definitive conclusions can yet be drawn, the process itself demonstrates how quickly narratives form, how influence spreads online, and how public discourse shapes our perception of truth. The case is ongoing, the questions remain, and the conversation continues. For viewers following this story, the responsibility is clear. Analyze, question, and consider the sources carefully. Watch the unfolding events, but remember that online narratives can mislead as easily as they inform. And in the days ahead, as more reports emerge, more claims are debated, and more perspectives are revealed, new developments in the case are emerging almost daily, yet each revelation seems to raise more questions than answers. Observers note inconsistencies between witness statements and public reports, small gaps in timelines that no one seems willing to clarify, and shifts in the narrative that leave even seasoned analysts unsettled. Every update challenges what the public thought they knew, and the deeper you look, the more complex the picture becomes. For example, questions continue to circulate about Tyler Robinson's presence near certain locations in the days leading up to the incident. Publicly shared posts, geotagged social media activity, and online records have all been analyzed repeatedly, yet no definitive explanation has emerged. Each attempt to reconstruct his movements highlight discrepancies, contradictions, and anomalies that online commentators cannot reconcile. How could information this basic be so elusive? And why does it appear that some records vanish just when clarity is needed most? Attention has also shifted to the role of communications, messages, calls, and digital interactions that may have involved both Tyler Robinson and others connected to the story. Some sources online suggest that certain threads disappeared or were altered before authorities could release them. Others question whether selective sharing of these messages has influenced public perception. If evidence exists but remains inaccessible, who decides what the public should know and who decides what should remain hidden? The scrutiny of those close to Tyler continues. Rumors, assertions, and speculative threads about his roommate, girlfriend, and acquaintances remain a major focus in forums and social media communities. Were they aware of critical details that could have changed the course of the narrative? Did they witness interactions or events that could clarify timelines? Or is their silence being misinterpreted as complicity? Each unanswered question fuels new theories, debates, and heated discussions online, creating a cycle that only adds to the tension surrounding the case. Meanwhile, public attention has grown increasingly focused on patterns in the reporting itself. Observers question why some facts receive intense coverage, while others, potentially just as important, are barely mentioned. Why are some sources cited repeatedly while alternative perspectives are ignored? What role does narrative framing play in shaping public opinion before the legal process has even run its course? And if patterns exist, who benefits from them and who may be disadvantaged? The alleged connection to Charlie Kirk remains central to the discussion, not because it is conclusively established, but because public curiosity and online speculation have amplified every detail. Analysts question whether his prominence has made Tyler Robinson an easier target for scrutiny, or if attention to the story is being deliberately guided to serve a larger purpose. Is this simply a case magnified by association, or is there something deeper that the public is not being shown? There are new questions about the handling of evidence. Public records indicate that some items were collected weeks after initial reports, while others remain unavailable for review. Observers online are asking, if evidence exists, why is access limited? And if access is restricted, what implications does this have for transparency, accountability, and public trust? The lack of clarity invites speculation, which in turn amplifies the sense that the full truth is being withheld, intentionally or otherwise. Discussions about motive, intent, and opportunity continue to dominate forums, often without resolution. Theories are presented, debated, and discarded as new claims emerge. Some point to potential triggers in Tyler Robinson's past, while others focus on external pressures, social dynamics, or coincidental timing. Every thread highlights the same tension. While the digital footprint of the story grows, certainty recedes. And yet there are subtle patterns emerging in the online discourse itself. Analysts observe how posts are shared, which voices are amplified, and which questions are left unanswered. Some of these patterns suggest an effort, conscious or unconscious, to steer public perception. How much of what the public believes is influenced by these dynamics rather than by verified facts? And if perception is shaped before facts can be fully examined, what does that say about the accountability of those in positions of influence? The pressure on Tyler Robinson is compounded by the ongoing online narrative. Every comment, thread, and post is dissected, archived, and interpreted, often with assumptions that may or may not be grounded in reality. And while Tyler remains mostly silent in the public record, the online ecosystem continues to form judgments, assign motive, and speculate on outcomes. The question becomes, in a case where narrative spreads faster than verification, can anyone truly remain impartial? Even subtle details are being scrutinized. A single post, a deleted comment, a timestamp, or a minor contradiction in publicly available information can become the basis for widespread speculation. Analysts ask, are these discrepancies errors, coincidences, or signs of intentional omission? And who benefits from the uncertainty created by these unresolved questions? Social media users continue to focus on gaps in reporting and the slow pace of official clarification. Why do some updates arrive quickly while others are delayed for weeks? What drives the selective release of information, and how does this affect public trust? Are the pauses between reports natural procedural delays, or is there an orchestrated effort to control the narrative? And if information is being managed carefully, what does that imply about the broader system that allowed this case to spiral into public obsession? The story also exposes broader questions about collective responsibility. How do communities respond when the truth is obscured? How do we balance curiosity, speculation, and a desire for justice with the need for patience and caution? What moral obligations exist for those discussing, analyzing, and broadcasting the story in public forums? And in the case of Tyler Robinson, how much has society itself contributed to the intensity of scrutiny he faces? And amid all of this, new angles continue to appear. Analysts examine seemingly minor details, posts, messages, interactions, looking for patterns, inconsistencies, or corroborating evidence. Each new observation raises more questions. What is credible, what is fabricated, and what remains hidden? And as online investigations proceed, the tension between perception and fact grows, leaving viewers to consider not just the story itself, but the environment that shapes the story. What of the authorities overseeing the case? Questions continue about transparency, timing of releases, and the selection of which sources to publicize. Observers ask, are public reports being delayed to protect privacy? Or is there a deeper reason why full clarity remains elusive? And how do these decisions influence public opinion and ultimately benefit from controlled disclosure? And as the narrative spreads further, ethical questions arise. How do families cope with constant online attention? How are close contacts affected when they become part of the conversation, whether they choose to participate or not? And how do we as viewers engage with the story that is at once unfolding, contested, and manipulated in real time? New public posts continue to emerge, adding yet another layer of speculation and analysis. Screenshots, shared comments, and screenshots of deleted content are dissected, reanalyzed, and reinterpreted. Every new piece of information feels significant, but the absence of confirmation ensures that uncertainty remains the defining characteristic of the story. And as viewers, we are left to question, in a case so heavily mediated by online attention, what does truth look like, and who is responsible for uncovering it? Tyler Robinson remains at the center, a figure caught between public speculation and official scrutiny. Charlie Kirk's name continues to attract attention, not because details are confirmed, but because prominence magnifies every claim and every rumor. And as the discussion continues, one reality becomes clear. The case is far from resolved. The narrative will evolve, new questions will emerge, and the public will continue to wrestle with uncertainty. As the story unfolds, consider this. What is the moral responsibility of those who report, analyze, and comment? What obligations exist for individuals engaging with speculation, and how should society respond when uncertainty dominates the conversation? How do we hold this system accountable while navigating an environment saturated with partial information and viral attention? The investigation continues. The questions deepen, and the search for clarity persists. Every day, viewers are invited to observe, analyze, and reflect on the complex interplay between digital narratives, public perception, and official reporting. And as long as these forces remain in motion, the story of Tyler Robinson, the scrutiny surrounding Charlie Kirk, and the unresolved questions in between will continue to evolve. Stay tuned, because the next developments may alter the narrative once again, and as always, the full truth remains just out of reach.